The quieter you become, the more you can hear, and sometimes the first thing you hear is yourself, unchanged, unmoved, undamaged. There is something beautiful, almost sacred, about the moment you choose not to react. You are insulted, provoked, dismissed, and there, dangling in the air, is a chance to strike back, and yet you don't. Why? Not because you are weak, not because you are afraid, but because you understand that silence is not the absence of power, it is the containment of it. A storm, waiting, refusing to reign. You see, disrespect is an invitation, a performance, a bait. And most of us, caught in the dance of ego, accept the invitation without hesitation. We throw words, we raise voices, we retaliate. But here's the secret they never told you. The moment you react, you are no longer responding to them. You are defending yourself against your own emotions. And that is the trick. We confuse the voice of our anger for strength. We mistake our reactivity for authenticity. But these are reflexes, not wisdom. And life, real life, calls not for reaction, but for awareness. So when they disrespect you and your body tenses, your breath shallows, and your mind races, pause. In that pause is where you stop becoming what they want you to become. Silence isn't compliance, it's clarity. It's a boundary drawn in the air rather than the sand. It's letting the world know you do not control the climate within me. And here's the most unnerving thing about it. For them, your silence forces them to face themselves, and for those who live to provoke, that is the most unbearable consequence of all. So stay quiet, not because you don't have something to say, but because what you could say isn't worth losing your peace for. The world will keep testing you. The disrespect may never end, but your stillness, your refusal to engage in every battle, that becomes your loudest, most echoing statement. Watch until the end, not because these words are mine, but because they may awaken something in you forgot you had. The right to be undisturbed. In a world obsessed with noise, reaction, and instant expression, silence is often misunderstood. It's seen as surrender, as though those who do not respond must have nothing to say or lack the courage to say it. But this is a shallow view. Real silence, the kind chosen deliberately after disrespect, is not empty. It is full of restraint, of clarity, of self-possession. To stay quiet when someone tries to pull you into their storm is to show that you are not available to be shaken. You are not here to match their chaos. Silence in this way becomes a mirror. When someone disrespects you and you don't engage, they are left alone with their own echo. No resistance, no fuel, just themselves, and that is more discomforting than any comeback you could offer. They wanted your energy, not just your attention. Your silence denies them both. This is not weakness, it is power. Because power is not always shown by how loudly you can shout, but how deeply you can remain unmoved. It is easy to raise your voice, but far more difficult to hold your peace. True power does not need to announce itself. It does not need to win every moment. It does not fear being misunderstood. It simply knows. There is wisdom in not turning every moment into a conflict, and strength in refusing to lower yourself to meet someone in their instability. Sometimes the greatest act of defiance is stillness. Sometimes the loudest no is the quiet that follows disrespect. There is an old saying that goes, "Don't throw gasoline on the fire." It's a simple image, but one that holds profound wisdom in the context of conflict. When someone disrespects you, they throw a spark into the air, and if you meet that spark with fire, if you respond with the same intensity, with equal or greater emotion, you are not putting out the flame, you're feeding it. You are making it burn brighter. And before you know it, the small flame of a momentary disrespect becomes a wildfire of anger, resentment, and drama. The more you react, the more you entangle yourself in the cycle of escalation. Your response, whether it is defensive, offensive, or emotional, invites more of the same in return. It's a trap. The other person may continue their disrespect, but now you are also a part of it, no longer standing above the fray. The beauty of silence is that it breaks the chain. When you choose not to react, you stop the cycle in its tracks. You rob the situation of its momentum. The moment you remain quiet, the fire cannot spread. The disrespect, which once seemed like an attack, begins to dissipate on its own. The aggressor is left without fuel, uncertain of what to do next. Your silence, in this sense, is a powerful act of control. It allows you to preserve your peace and let their energy burn out. It turns the situation into something that belongs solely to them, not you. One of the deepest illusions we carry is the belief that we are defined by how others see us or treat us. In moments of disrespect, it's easy to fall into the trap of taking their words and actions personally, as if they somehow have the power to change who we are at our core. But the truth is, no one can truly define you unless you allow them to. When someone insults you or disrespects you, they are not describing you, they are revealing themselves. Their words, their behavior, their projections are a reflection of their inner turmoil, their values, or perhaps their lack of understanding. It has nothing to do with you. We often mistake their opinions for truths, but in reality they are just passing judgments based on their own limited perspective. The moment you start accepting these opinions as your reality, you begin to lose sight of who you really are. You begin to lose yourself in their vision of you. But your essence cannot be so easily shaped. Your worth does not fluctuate based on others' perceptions. It is anchored in something deeper, something unshakable. This is why silence is so powerful. When you stay quiet in the face of disrespect, you remind yourself that you are not beholden to anyone's view of you. You choose not to engage because you are not interested in validating their limited perception. You already know who you are, and you do not need anyone's approval or disapproval to confirm it. When someone disrespects you, it is easy to feel as though they are revealing something about your character, as though their words or actions are somehow an accurate reflection of your worth. But in truth, their disrespect says far more about them than it does about you. Disrespect is a projection, not a reflection. It is an outward expression of their own fears, insecurities, and unresolved conflict. When people lash out, they are often acting out their own frustrations, not responding to who you truly are. A person who feels insecure about their own place in the world may attempt to diminish others in order to feel more significant. Someone who is struggling with self-doubt might lash out in an attempt to distract from their own inner turmoil. This projection occurs because they have not yet come to terms with their own feelings or beliefs. When we recognize this, we understand that disrespect is not personal. It is simply a mirror to their inner world. It is not a reflection of your character, but of their emotional state. If you internalize their disrespect, you make the mistake of letting their projections shape your reality. Instead of taking it personally, realize that their disrespect has nothing to do with you. It is their emotional baggage, their fears, their wounds speaking to you, and nothing more. This understanding frees you. It allows you to move through life with the peace of knowing that the opinions and actions of others are theirs alone to carry, and they do not define you. In a world where reactions are immediate and loud, silence can feel like a threat, not to you, but to the ego. The ego thrives on recognition, on being acknowledged, on being seen as important. It is constantly seeking validation through external feedback, through words, actions, and reactions. When someone disrespects you, the ego is quick to demand a response, to prove its worth, to defend its honor, to regain control of the situation. But silence, true stillness, is the one thing the ego cannot process. It is the disruption of its constant need for acknowledgement. When you choose not to react, when you remain silent, you refuse to feed the ego's desire to be seen, to be validated, or to be heard. The ego does not know how to handle this absence of response. It becomes uncomfortable because silence forces it to confront its own insecurity, its need for constant external input. It is in this stillness that you are free. The ego, desperate for attention, starts to lose its grip. When it is not fed, it begins to fade into the background, allowing your deeper self to remain undisturbed, grounded in its own essence. Silence takes away the power from the ego's narrative, and in doing so, it disturbs the very thing that seeks to control you. It is only when you are still that you can hear the truth of your being, and the ego can no longer define you by its ever-demanding need to be validated. Reactivity is a chain that binds us, a constant loop that drags us back into the dramas of the world. Every time we respond to disrespect, every time we react to an insult or an unfair situation, we are choosing to participate in the cycle of external control. The moment we react, we are no longer in control of our own peace. Instead, we are controlled by the forces around us, by other people's behavior, by their opinions, by their judgments. In this constant state of reactivity, we lose touch with our true freedom. Freedom comes not from being unchallenged or untouched, but from having the power to choose how we respond to what happens around us. When we stop reacting, when we remain silent in the face of disrespect, we break the chains that bind us to those external forces. We free ourselves from the expectation to prove something, to justify ourselves, to win or defend. We choose to be governed by our own inner state, not by the moods and actions of others. Silence, in this sense, becomes a powerful act of liberation. It is not passive submission, but an active choice to disengage from the game of constant conflict and validation. By remaining silent, you assert your independence from the emotional pull of others. You are no longer a pawn in their game, but a free agent in your own life. And in that silence, there is peace, there is freedom. In the end, choosing silence after disrespect is not a surrender or a sign of weakness. It is a profound act of strength and clarity. It is the refusal to be pulled into someone else's chaos, and the recognition that your peace is more valuable than any fleeting moment of retaliation. Silence is not emptiness. It is power withheld, a moment of reflection and a reminder that you are not defined by the actions of others. When you choose stillness, you choose freedom. When you break the cycle of reactivity, you reclaim control over your own emotional landscape. The ability to remain calm in the face of disrespect speaks volumes about your self-awareness and your inner strength. It is not about ignoring injustice or passively accepting mistreatment, but about recognizing that your peace and sense of self are too precious to be dictated by anyone else's behavior. The next time you are faced with disrespect, remember, silence is not defeat. It is the ultimate expression of your freedom, your wisdom, and your unshakable sense of self.